Hey, Soul Family. Happy Saturday. Thanks for stopping by and clicking on the video. Um, I wanted to address a comment that I saw in the comments. Like, I try to read all of the comments and try to respond to them, and I did respond to the person who actually made the comment. But it opened a subject that I'd like to talk to the whole family about. So I wrote down the comment. And I am going to shout out this person because it wasn't a bad comment, but as I address it, it was from Amori Ali, and the question was, I don't know why we glorifying this creator Enki nor Enlil had wicked intentions on creating us. My thing is, since Big Mama is in all her powers, why continue this to go on? Why not break the firmament and just take us with her and leave her son by himself with his homeboys? They can manipulate each other. That was a comment that was made. And I'm like, okay. There's a few things that I'd like to address in that. Number one, Inky did not, he has never expressed evil intentions towards us, not ever. He warred within his conscience as to whether or not they should do this thing when they decided to come here. Well, it ain't that because they knew they had to come here. And again, I think I mentioned this on another video, but let's put this in a more humanistic fashion since truthfully, we're coming to understand that the people that we viewed as gods really are not gods. They are beings, but they came here. They didn't come here with evil intention. They came here to save their home world. They had been exiled to that planet and built it up from nothing. They came to an empty planet after their initial two factions were displaced of their home worlds in a galactic war that has apparently been waging out there for aeons of time. But they were displaced from their home world and made a home on Nibiru, which isn't too far away from our solar system. And they stayed there, formed a colony there, built and grew until they began to have dissenting factions amongst themselves, created their own government, blanketed themselves under one nationality, Atlanteans. But they were a group that began, it started out with two factions, and over time they started welcoming in refugees from everywhere. They were a melting pot, much like America today, a melting pot of various cultures from other planets throughout the galaxy. I can't, not even the galaxy, throughout the cosmos. And yet they were doing their thing there and perfectly fine with that. It wasn't until they began to have planetary disruptions in their atmosphere that literally are threatening their home world environment. They were beginning to have violent volcanic eruptions. Their seasons were messed up, too much heat, too much cold. It was causing famine, planet wide famine, and all of that. And their sages, their savants, determined that if they could get a hold of enough gold, they could pulverize the gold and launch it into the atmosphere to plug the holes in their atmosphere to save their planet. So you tell me, what would you do? They had heard the legends about Tiamat for eons. They were aware that Tiamat and the dragon or whatever in the war that they had and all of that Tiamat had exploded and blah blah blah, and and past the hammered bracelet, which is the asteroid remnants of that planetary explosion. Beyond that, they said that there was a planet that had enough of the fallout of gold from Tiamat literally embedded in that planet from the explosion of Tiamat, that if they could just get to the past the hammered bracelet, they could save their home world. Now, if you were faced with that scenario, what would you do? Anybody that says anything less than I'd go and get that gold is lying to themselves. If you had the means to get there, the technology to travel there, and knew where it was, and knew that it was not inhabited by any other sentient beings, and yet you say you wouldn't go, I'm calling BS on that. Because guess what? Look at the family that look around us on the earth. I'm sitting in a country right now that was basically created on a home invasion with people already here. Just because they wanted it, they wanted a better life for themselves. It wasn't even about saving their whole world. They wanted to save their personal skins from debtor's prison. So they came and kicked the door in and took somebody's whole continent. That's the human thing. So if we've got beings that are a million years more scientifically and consciousness evolved than us, literally a million years ahead of us developmentally, come to this planet to get resources off of it to save their home world, we can't call that evil intent. We just can't. Now, Enlil, yes, had absolutely evil intent. He was dead set against, and I have to give him credit for that. He was against modifying the hominid, the primates, whichever you want to call it. He was against Enki creating Homo sapiens. However, again, it comes down to desperation. They truthfully had no choice because they did try to come here and mine it themselves. They were here for at least 50, 60, 70,000 years. I think according to, I forgot how many shards they said, but it was like 100,000 years that they mined that gold themselves before the Adamu was even created. I don't even think they started trying to create the Adamu till they had been here mining it for about 70,000 years by themselves. And the workers were burnt out. Their bodies were not suited for this atmosphere. They didn't have no women here. They had literally had left their home world, their planets and everything else. They were named as heroes. But after a while, heroes got a time limit too. They ready to go home. They are sick of burning up and mind you, they landed on Al Kepulan. Adam's calendar is in South Africa. They landed on the African continent. And it's brutal even to people from other places on earth today to go and try to work in the African heat if they're not accustomed to it. Imagine royalty coming from another planet, a planet that wasn't used to having to work hard and do all those kinds of things because they had technology and tools that made their lives run pretty smoothly. And now they stuck out here in the African heat, trying to dig out gold out of gold mines for 70,000 years with no end in sight. And their efforts were not getting the job done fast enough. They needed more help because Nibiru was saying, we're getting a pitiful amount of gold from you all, but it's not going to be enough to save the planet on time. We need more gold. Enki, being a scientist and a geneticist and an explorer, while they were trying to find another way and find more sources of gold and all those things, in his exploration of the Apsu, he came along and discovered this hominid. And he and Ningishzida Thoth also, his son, but his son had his love of science, and they loved to do scientific and genetic experiments, and they had been doing genetic experiments with life forms or whatever just because of what they do. But then they realized that this hominid had enough similar base pairs that it could potentially be something that they could hybridize with Anunnaki DNA to create a more intelligent being that would be suitable to helping with that work. Now, y'all can ask again, how you gonna sit here and criticize these people for trying to save their home world. We got people here on this planet today that's still taking slaves for free 99 just out of greed because they don't want to do the work. I have a slave lineage in my family, in my ancestry. Plenty of folks around this world. Again, I'm not trying to make it a race thing because I noticed I didn't say plenty of black folks because there's plenty of white people, Asian people, brown, yellow, red, whatever. Almost every culture, I ain't gonna say almost every culture on this planet, every racial designation and every single culture on this planet does have slavery in their lineage. We've done that to each other for no reason except personal greed. So, can you genuinely criticize beings that came from another planet that genetically modified a primate to create a being that had enough intelligence and sentience that it could learn to be taught, it could be taught to work to help them mine the gold so that they could live better? Now, yes, did things got out of hand? Yes. Did things get done wrong? Yes. Most of it was because they got greedy and got to fighting with each other. They taught us greed and taught us how to fight and taught us a lot of those things that they handed down. I'm not saying that was right. But the initial question was, why don't Big Mama come and just sweep us up and leave Enlil and them to it because they had evil intentions? Like I said, Enki, Lord Enki, I will call him that, because he is the progenitor of the human race as we know it. And in doing the things that he did, it was never done out of malice. Now, he gave in to some of the demands of the one that did have some evil intention. That whole making our lifespan shorter and putting in the worship gene and all of that, those were modifications that Enlil insisted on. But again, as the scientist, as the geneticist, he wanted an opportunity to do this. Once he realized it could be done, oh, he was on fire to get it done. Him and Ningishita, they wanted to do it just for the sheer joy of being able to do it. And I can't blame him. As someone who really loves biology myself, I can't blame him one little bit. But he still had to operate within the confines of what Anu and the Council of Seven told him he could do. So he did it. But he so much did not have evil intent that once he bowed to their wishes and created what they asked him to create, he also created some backdoor sub programming stuff to help us be able to escape what they were putting in place. If he truly had evil intent, when Enlil asked him to put a worship gene in us, he would have did it and not look back. But when he did it, he also gave us the ability to turn it off. And after his conscience bothered him for so long, after they did create the Adamu and Tiamat, he went and told her, you have the ability to turn it off. Enlil is not telling you the truth. We are not gods. You will not die if you eat that. And you don't have to worship us. Those are the things that they laid down in the Genesis story, supposedly, that made us sinful for wanting to know the truth and made Enki evil for telling the truth. That is a programmed lie that we've chosen to accept. But that does not denote evil intent on Lord Enki. And again, he got direction according to him, message from the divine, the creator of all, that humanity should be spared when the flood came. If he had evil intent, because even at that point, even Ninmah was agreeable. We know this is coming. We ain't gonna say nothing to none of the humans. We gonna be at the ready, get in our spaceships and ride out and let all of them drown. And then once that is all over and done with, after the flood waters recede, we'll come back down here and do this thing all over again. We're only here having this discourse right here between me and you. We're only having that today because of Lord Enki. So we cannot hold him as having evil intent or put him in the same breath as Marduk and Enlil, Yahweh, Jehovah. Jehovah came in and has taken over everything and got everybody on this planet worshiping him, whether you choose to call him Allah, whether you choose to call him Yahweh, whether you choose to call him Jehovah, or whether you go straight to the source and call him Satan. He got everybody that is acknowledging him under any of those namesakes in his grip because he's greedy and all that like that. But you can't just throw the baby out with the bathwater. There is a champion for us among the Anunnaki, and it is Lord Enki. Is he perfect? No. He got down with some of the same mess they did: violence, incest, and date rape, and all kind. Well, no, the date rape part was Enlil, Jehovah. If y'all don't remember, we read in the story, Ninlil, his wife, only became his wife when she forgave him for date rape. But that's the God that people choose to worship instead of turning to the one that could actually help us figure out how to get along peacefully and more comfortably on this planet without all of the greed and the war and the things that are promoted under Enlilite programs. The Yahwehistic program, the Enlilite program, Yahweh program, is very much all of that. The Enkiite program is not. So, why and the second part of that question was, why don't Big Mama just come in and basically sweep house and leave them two to fight it out and take us wherever? That's not the plan, and it never has been. Everybody that keep thinking that they're going to escape Earth, you ain't read the book, because all of those books tell us, and according to what Enki said in the Lost Book, he got communication from a messenger from the creator of all, that now that he's done this thing and created us as humans, this is our home and we belong here forever. This is it. This is our home to cultivate and do all of those things that we're supposed to do if we can avoid destroying each other. That's the only reason they gave the prophecy for him coming back to save us. That thing at the end of Revelation with him coming back with New Jerusalem descending down, that's a new base camp after the next cataclysm, because the creator of all has given instruction that we are to be preserved. They didn't just get to come in here and play God and then walk off and let it all go down. Nope, now that you've lent your DNA to us, now that we have sentience and intelligence, we are the newest creations in the cosmos, or newest sentient creations, humanoid creations in the cosmos, and we will be allowed to survive and be here. You will not take this home from us. And I get it, some of like the Gnostic teachings and all of that talk about us having trapped souls from Adam of light and all that. And again, I'm not trying to argue their belief systems or anything else. Right now, all I can go with is what has been shown to me in meditation. If we learn more about that later, that's fine. But thus far, Yeshua has not keyed me in on any major occurrence of any rapture type anything. I honestly believe that the only way a consciousness is going to leave this planet is through personal and individual ascension. Like Yeshua said, follow him. If you can raise your consciousness to the level of becoming Christos, then yes, you can escape 3D, 4D, and potentially 5D and ascend. But that's an individual thing. That's not going to be a blanket mass salvation of a whole bunch of people to rapture up to somewhere. To no, that's why it said many are called and few are chosen, because the individuals have to be willing and able to grasp these concepts and open their mind and allow their consciousness to ascend to accept these things and then be invited into that. And there's some indication of that even in the Revelation story. It talks about a great multitude of people that came out of all of that stuff that happened at Armageddon that literally kind of threw themselves at the foot of the throne. But they individually had to get themselves to the throne. It wasn't like all of a sudden evil is going to be done out and it's a mass rescue. It's not truthfully a rescue. The ones that get rescued rescue themselves with their heart and mind, their attitudes. Yeah. So let me see. I had written down a couple notes. Want to make sure I didn't leave out anything. Oh, the other part. Why wouldn't Big Mama come down and break the firmament and just take us with her and leave her son by himself with his homeboys? They can manipulate each other. Well, for the same reason that a loving parent often allows a toddler to fall over and over again learning how to walk, because you can't bubble wrap your child through life and think that they're ever going to become responsible adults. You just can't. And the same thing with us. They tweaked, or their biggest question was destiny or fate. They literally dared to tweak destiny with an act of fate by creating us in the first place. But once we're created, we have to go through the same consciousness and morality ascensions as any other beings on this in this universe. Is it pretty? No. Is it instant? No. Remember, the Atlanteans are 1,000,000 years ahead of us in consciousness, and look how they behave. We've heard all the raggedy, ratchet nonsense that they do with each other. So it's not an instant process, but we all have to go through it. So it wouldn't help at all for Big Mama to swoop down and, oh, my babies, y'all come here. And no, we have to learn how to do this because it's super simple. We have to understand when we're being lied and hoodwinked and choose to stop accepting it. That's it. Once the jig is up, if we do that and would acknowledge who Satan, Enlil, Yahweh, Jehovah really is, and choose to stop worshiping him, the jig would be up tomorrow. The only reason that isn't openly taught to us is because if the jig is up on religion tomorrow, that also means that the jig is up on the vast majority of political systems on this planet tomorrow. And people ain't figured out yet how to get along and do the right thing without a government breathing down their neck, threatening to unalive them or put them in jail if they don't do the right thing. Now, that's a part that, like I said, that's where we're at in our consciousness and morality development. We've had a whole lot of bad examples that have led us to that juncture, but that is the truth of it. There's so many negative influences on this planet that without someone to guide us and direct us, we have not reached a point where we will choose to guide and direct ourselves yet. If we did, this whole shit show will be over tomorrow. Big Mama don't need to come in and intervene. She needs to make sure we don't wipe ourselves out until we figure it out. But development is development, and we all have to go through it. That's our growing pains, our initiations. It's not anything bad. It's just something we have to be aware of and stop, just like I talked about yesterday. We got to stop running through life with blinders on or waiting for somebody to swoop down and save us. That's not going to happen. We're going to have to learn to work the puzzle ourselves. Welcome to being a sentient being. That's just the way that goes. We just have more information available to us now so that we can make better choices. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I needed or wanted to say about that. So Honestly, I mean, yeah, I'd be curious to see what else is out there, but we need to master this first. And they even told us that Hollywood has shown us that the whole premise of the entire Star Trek series, and I've seen every episode they ever made. I loved me some Star Trek. But the whole premise of that series was the Galactic Federation had determined that no planet would be allowed to become aware of other planetary systems to actually visit them unless or until that planet's consciousness overall had progressed to a point that they could safely be introduced to other planet systems and other beings from other planets. And in that show, Earth was just getting to the point that our consciousness had expanded to a point that we were being invited by the Galactic Council to go on the first exploration expedition to start meeting some of our brothers and sisters throughout the galaxy, and as they went through wormholes and stuff, even in other areas of the cosmos. We may get there one day yet, but like I said, we got to learn how to behave and not off each other here first. We are so busy when we hear about the possibility of other things, we want to reach for all of that. How are we gonna worry about telling God, Goddess how to do their job, and we can't even figure out how to be worthy? If we want to look for God, Goddess to do it, then that would mean we'd have to become worthy servants of God, Goddess. We can't even do that. We can't be stewards of what's been given to us. We don't take care of the earth. We don't take care of each other. Unless or until we master that, we have no right to expect God or anybody else to step in to do anything for us here. Because remember, everything that so why don't God do this? That's because we're judging things as good or bad. You have to remember there are certain physics laws that govern everything in this environment, in a 3D environment. And one of them is for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So what we deem as evil or dark is only the collateral damage or the push point, if you will, for creation. We don't have to choose the dark. We don't have to choose evil. Those who choose to, that's because of a lack of sentient development on their part. But it will be there because it's a byproduct of creation. When the self begotten divided itself into itself to create masculine and feminine, there's a pushing off point. When good is created, a byproduct is evil. Think about it, like I said, and it will meet around in a toroidal uptake and cancel itself out. It always does. But what side of it you choose to be on is a matter of your focus of intention. We are transmitting and receiving mechanisms, and we create according to what we focus on. So people that are so twisted and bent on the idea of there being evil here, that's because them and a whole bunch of other folks on this planet continue to focus on it. Evil will go away if we just choose to not give it notice, pretty much. As a man thinketh, so he is. But anywho, I'm not going down that road because that's another rabbit hole for another day. I do thank you for joining this little bit of a mind ramble with me. And if you got some benefit from it, please give the video a thumbs up. And if you got something you want, like I said, let's get some dialogue going, leave a comment. I welcome it. Until next time, family, I love you very much. Peace and blessings to you. Namaste.